I ever wondered what Newcastle would have looked like if it hadn't lost some of its Victorian architecture. Right, today we're going to dive in and talk about three buildings that we should have probably saved. Newcastle skyline has changed a lot, but some of the redevelopment isn't exactly for the best. Today we're going to dive in and talk about three historical gems of architecture anyway that shouldn't have been demolished and we probably should have saved. So let's begin. First, let's dive into the YMCA building on Blackett Street, a place that offered not just accommodation but also a sense of belonging for many. It was a key part of the social fabric in Newcastle. The striking facade and communal spirit invigorated the area until it was dismantled, leaving a void that echoed the laughter and camaraderie once felt within the walls. The YMCA was built on the same site of a former St James's Congregational Chapel on the corner of Blackett Street. The YMCA did use the chapel for a number of years, from 1884 to 1896, but it was soon too small for a full programme for its 500 members, and it was vacated and demolished in 1896. The new building was a large three-storied, imposing building situated in the heart of the town. It was designed by John Walton Taylor. The building played a huge part in the life of Newcastle and in war work in both wars. The basement housed a cafe, the entrance located on Highfriars Street, adjacent to the rear of the hall, seating 700. The ground floor frontage had space for up to 6 shops. These, along with the 5-roomed commercial office scheme on the 3rd floor, were to be rented out. The first floor housed a spacious reading room looking out on Eldon Square, a large reception room, games room and activity rooms. The building also contained a small hall seating 300, a large gymnasium, 300 rooms designed as offices, teaching rooms and meeting rooms, a photographic studio and 3 dining rooms, including one for the ladies. Later, beneath its reading room was the busiest post office in Newcastle. It was sold and finally pulled down in September 1972 to make way for the monument entrance of Eldon Square Shopping Centre. And now we're at the bottom of Westgate Road, and over there where Nando's is now, I think it's Vita student accommodation. There used to be Chemley House, and it was a prominent Victorian building at the bottom of Westgate Road, and it served as Evening Chronicle's headquarters till it got demolished in the 1960s and the Chronicle moved onto the big market. And the building itself was replaced by the monstrosity that was Westgate House. Just what were they thinking when they built that thing? It almost beggars belief, looking back, that the planners would consider building an overpowering 12-storey concrete office block so utterly out of scale and context with the nearby fine Victorian buildings. Victoria House was itself demolished in 2007, and the more restrained Vita student accommodation block stands in place today. Most cities have lost one library. Newcastle has lost 2 on the same site to get to the current one. Construction of the first one began in 1881 and it stands roughly in the middle of the road. And it was built on the site of a medieval Calliope tower. And it was opened in 1883 as a free library. It was a neoclassical design by Alfred Mountain Fowler, featuring towers, porticos and a grand interior rooms. It was demolished in 1867 to make way for the building of John Dobson Street. And the Lang Art Gallery was actually added onto the end of the Victorian Library, and that part still stayed. It was replaced a few metres west of the first one by a large concrete structure designed by Sir Basil Spence and opened in 1868. This one was the proper 1960s building of brutalist design, which was all the rage in the 60s. Concrete jungles was getting built up all over. Then it closed in 2006 and it was demolished in 2007. The current library, built on the same foundations as Spencer's creation and named the Charles Avison Building, opened in 2009. A contemporary inspired building with a blue glass entrance, limestone flooring and features like a performance space, cafe and exhibition areas. In essence, Newcastle Library moved from a Victorian landmark to an unpopular concrete edifice and finding its contemporary home in a purpose-built, architecturally distinct Charles Avison building. So you gotta remember, Newcastle's past was filled with beautiful architecture that shouldn't be ignored. And if you like this sort of video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, hit that notification bell for future videos, and any buildings that use, like I'd probably be forgotten, put in the comments and we'll have a read. Thanks for watching.